Hey people, what's going on? I'm Scott, that's Obi, that's Brandon, and that's of course JD Walker, and this is the Sports Den, and we got a myriad of different things to cover with you guys today. Big surprise, the Super Bowl is definitely going to be part of that. Additionally, we'll be talking a little bit about Kyrie Irving and the curious trade to the Mavericks, which is looking better and better, frankly, for the Nets. Additionally, maybe we'll talk a little LeBron. We'll talk some Seton Hall in there. Some weird Super Bowl bets that are out there because Vegas will bet on anything. But gentlemen, how the hell are you?
Doing all right, doing well.
So, I'm great.
Yeah, big news across multiple sports. This media week of Super Bowl kicking off, so lots to talk about.
Yeah, Tom Brady's retired again and officially is joining the Fox booth. Which, yeah, a lot of people are like, oh God, really?
I was under the impression, correct me if I'm wrong, that we're going to have a year of Tom Brady free, that they're letting Olsen keep the job for another year, and then they're bringing Brady in. That's what I thought I read today.
I know, but the very fact that he's joining anyway, I don't
believe it when I see it.
He's an unknown entity at this point. We don't know how he's going to be. He could be Carlos Beltran, who, by the way, is now with the Mets. So figure that one out.
I've always said that I don't see this working.
Yeah,
I don't either. He doesn't. You need a personality to work on TV, and Tom Brady doesn't have one.
Or a personality that jives, unlike say Dennis Miller, because that worked. Yeah. That was a great experiment.
Yeah, but Dennis Miller aside, I'm trying to think if there's been guys who we didn't know had personalities who ended up. Oh my goodness, they have one. Like I would go with Greg Olsen. Like I did not.
Greg Olsen's been fantastic.
He's been fantastic, but if you had told me Greg Olsen has a personality that's going to work, I don't know if I would have known that ahead of time. So we will see. I'm in the chance that he's not going to work. I would say we knew Peyton had a personality. Peyton
that's why I said Eli. That's why I said Eli.
The two of them on a tandem on ESPN is a solid one.
Yeah. No, but Peyton. I mean, I feel like Peyton would go on to SNL, and you're like, "Oh, this is where." Like Peyton was like Charles going on SNL. Like, okay, this is going to work. But Kenny the Jet, there's a guy who does a great job, who I didn't know necessarily had personality. While Shaq, on the other hand, we knew was all personality. So we'll see if Tom Brady can do it.
Peyton, we saw though back in Tennessee. Remember the famous scene where he's leading the marching band? Like he had that personality from the start that we saw, and it just continued to transition into broadcasting and TV stuff now off the field. So Peyton, I always thought was there. For me, it was Eli because under the Giants, especially under Tom Coughlin, it was I can't even repeat one quote Eli has ever said in New York, because he just got up there. He said exactly what he needed to say. Nothing more, nothing less. That was it. You could barely take quotes from him. And then he comes on. He's got his own, like the Peyton's Places on ESPN Plus. He's got his own Eli's Places with college football. He does the Peyton and Eli. I think Eli was very surprising for me.
Yeah, Eli was very Jeter-esque in that he would say words but not really say much of anything, when he was playing.
Agreed. I think I agree with both you guys that I think we were saying the same thing. Peyton, not a surprise. Eli, a surprise. We'll see where. And I would say, by the way, on the other hand, Gronk is a disappointment, because he is all personality, but he gets up there with those other four guys on the Fox Sunday show, and you're like, Gronk, you're not pulling your weight. Now, give him a year, maybe I'll figure it out, but time will tell.
Well, with Gronk though, isn't he kicking like a field goal in halftime or something?
Yeah, you better win me some money.
Also, he's on the Fox pregame show, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Where he's not.
So it's not like he can really get in a word edgewise at that group.
Yes, that is the problem. He cannot figure out how to get a word in edgewise with that group.
Plus, I think he hasn't quite been able to balance the fine line between just a kind of regular professionalism. Not that he's not professional, but this kind of more traditional broadcast element with his personality twist on it, rather than all personality. And then it kind of becomes a little he
Yeah.
still
like a few years ago
you
when
know,
he
kind
spiked
of
the
frat
Steve
boy
Harvey head.
in that sense.
Yeah, no, I'm not writing him off, but that he's just an example of somebody I think we all saw going to the TV world and hasn't hit it yet, but give him time, because if not, we know he can do WWE. We know he's great as a character in many of his commercials, so time will tell, but probably, yeah. That
Romo
particular
also
crew-
surprised me when
Mhm.
because I wasn't I said, really, they're giving him the number. They essentially fired Phil Simms
They
from
replaced Phil
the
Simms,
number
yeah.
one from the number one spot with Jim Nantz for Romo, who had just finished playing. At the time, that seemed dumb, and then once you heard Romo, you said, okay, we may have something here. Although he's had a noticeable decline this year, like that. A lot of people, have said a lot on the internet about how Tony Romo hasn't been as good lately.
Mhm.
But at first, he was fantastic coming out of it. So you really don't know what you're getting with a lot of these players going into broadcasting.
Right.
But well, time will tell. Let's see what if TB12 is any decent at this. But I don't know. Again, I will hold out shock if actually he's good. My opinion only.
Yeah, Olsen is
I don't think
fantastic and deserves to keep that top job.
Yeah. But irrespective, we may as well basically move on to actually what we're really trying to talking about here. Super Bowl 57. What do you say, gentlemen?
Fly, Eagles, fly. on the roof.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about this one, I think. Actually, you know what? Let me put it this way.
Or the Kelsey Bowl, as it's being called.
Yeah. Well, see that we're gonna break into this in a little bit, but there's weird Super Bowl bets, and one of them will be how often they mention the fact that this is the Kelsey Bowl. But Eagles Chiefs, I think, has the potential of being one of the best Super Bowl matchups in a very, very, very long time. My anti-Eagle sentiment here is obviously going to force me to have to pick the Chiefs on this, but Obi, we already know. So let's start with JD, I think, on this one too. You've made it no secret in the fact that you want your neighborhood to be peace-free, no fires, and no Philly being Philly as far as fandom goes. What are you rooting for here? What do you think is going to happen?
I'm thinking the Eagles win this one by about 10. That just with Mahomes and the ankle, while he played better than expected in the AFC Championship, going up against the Eagles defense, I think is going to be a much harder.
One of the strongest defenses in the NFL. Yeah.
Right. They were, I believe, the number 2 defense in the NFL all year, with San Francisco being number 1. And we saw what the Eagles did to the San Francisco defense this time around. Right. That's also part of it. Can the Eagles finally break through, or will this be the Philly hat trick of failure? Failure, of course, spelled with a PH in this scenario. With the Phillies, the Union, and now the Eagles getting their shot. Of three championships in the past few months. So we'll see if the Eagles can break through and finally get one. I think they will. I think that they're the better team on paper. They have more momentum. I've seen some trash talking on the internet about they beat the Giants and Josh Johnson. So how does that show how good they are? They've been one of the best teams in the league all year. I think proves it. One of the best defenses. Hurts is now healthy from his shoulder injury that he missed some time for. And the Chiefs defense. The Chiefs defense last time out in the AFC Championship game had a hard time covering the Bengals tight end. The name escapes me right now, but but Burrow kept throwing in the tight end, and he was just cutting through over the middle and carving up the Chiefs defense. So what's Goddard going to do to the Chiefs defense? I have a feeling it's going to be Goddard's going to have a big game with that, unless the Bengals really clue in on those adjustments. And I think the Eagles win this one easier than people expect.
Brandon, back me up on this one, please. Can't be all by myself here.
Well, no, hold on. I've been waiting all week. You know, we were putting this off last week to try to save this for this week. With 1 week to go next Sunday, I've been really kind of decided what my thought was going to be and what my pick was going to be by, like, I would say Tuesday. I really going into coming out of the conference championship week, I took about a day where I was like, I wanted to process what I saw from the two games, kind of get a feel for the couple days. But like I said, by Tuesday, I was pretty certain where I was going to go. I think the Eagles are going to destroy the Chiefs. I really think this Eagle, I even said it last week, this Eagles defense, I think some years from now, we will look back on them with a very historically favorable position where I just think they are so dominant on the front line. The secondary can cover both safety and cornerback positions. I think out of both of these two teams, first off, out of both conference representatives, I think we do have both the two best teams, both best NFC team and the best AFC team. But going up against each other, I really think the Eagles are clearly the better team. I mean, other than strictly the quarterback position and tight end position individually, every other knock I think goes for the Eagles. I think the key to this game for the Chiefs to have a chance is I think Kelsey and Mahomes are going to do their thing. He has a lot of wide receivers out. Juju is out. Blanking on a couple names, but basically the other receivers are out, but his running backs are in. I think the key for Kansas City to have a chance to win this game is having the running backs being able to succeed out of the passing game. Because they'll be able to run. I think they'll be able to get some yards. But if he can create a passing game with the running backs to then kind of divert some of the pressure from Kelsey, I think that gives them a chance. But I can see this Eagles line destroying this Chiefs offensive line. And it could end up being what we saw with the Tampa Bay Kansas City Super Bowl a couple of years ago, where Mahomes was running around like a kid on a playground. Like it really was like a chicken without a head. He had no real outlet to try and execute an offense. And we saw how that game played out. And I think it can be, like Scott, like you said, it can be one of these all-time back and forth games, or I think it could be a very one-sided game. And I think that's going to be the case. I'm kind of with that 10-point win to 10, 8 to 12 in that range, maybe two touchdowns. But I think the Eagles win fairly convincingly.
Let me just say this, Obi, before I get to you. Logically, you guys are correct. I mean, this is a very, very strong defense here. All signs point to Philadelphia, but I cannot honestly go for the division rival that took my own team out of this. You know, I am aware of basically how strong the Eagles are. I am aware of how hobbly, Patrick Mahomes is. So I don't disagree with you guys anyway. I cannot go with Philadelphia on this. I just can't.
I get it.
But Obi, give me your thoughts if you should have any that are any different from anything that's been given so far.
So, I mean, I am actually going to pick this game under the auspicions that Patty Mahomes is 100%. What I saw against Cincinnati told me this is a guy who healed much, that either wasn't as injured as we were told, or is healing much faster than the average person, because honestly, he's still under 30. So, good for him. But this is a Super Bowl. The Kansas City has the best quarterback in the NFL and the best tight end. And that should not be ignored. On the other hand, the Eagles have the best offensive line in the NFL, including the best center, I guess genetics on, center and the tight end there. They have and someone who this season you can argue is the best quarterback not named Mahomes. I'm sure Burrow would argue with that, but you can argue. They have the best tight end, arguably, not named Kelsey. They have the best number 1 wide receiver, not named Jefferson or Chase, and by far the best number 2 wide receiver in Devonta Smith, who can team up against probably the top half of the number 1 wide receivers. Best defensive line, with all due respect to the 49ers, the best defensive line. 49ers outmatched them. Those linebackers were tremendous. And then the best defensive backs in the NFL. I said, and somebody accused me of being drunk after the Eagles won, that this team may be one of the best teams we have ever seen. And I stand by that the more I look at them. Now, if they go out and they beat the best quarterback in the NFL, and they beat him by 10 to 14 points, I think the people whose opinions sort of get fed down to us are going to agree on Monday. And here's the thing about Kansas City. They faced a 49ers team when they were full strength that got to Mahomes. That line was not the shredded line, but that 49ers team had zero offense. They then faced a Kansas City team that had 1/2 worth of an offense, maybe 3/4, with Tom Brady, who we, in hindsight, can see was at the other end of his career, but a defense that dominated him. I think this is the third great defense this team is going up against the Super Bowl. So all kudos to them. But now Mahomes takes up even more of that salary cap. And as good as Clark and Jones were in that playoff game, I think we saw what happens when you have 3 injured offensive linemen and no snow on the ground. So it's hard for me to truly evaluate that defense. I'm going to agree with these guys. I think the Eagles are going to win. I think it's going to be not as close as everybody says. I don't feel like it's going to be a situation where Mahomes is trying to win the game at the end and us feeling like he can do it. But it is hard to truly count out a great quarterback until the game is over. And that is why if the Eagles win, I think it's going to be that much better for the legacy of this team. So I think this is a team that's not just playing for a Super Bowl, but honestly for a legacy type season. Mm-hmm. And that's what excites me. As confident as I am that they're going to win, I would never put serious money against Patrick Mahomes. I'm placing my funny little bets on DraftKings, sure. But serious money against Mahomes, as confident as I am, I still wouldn't do it. He is just magical. And if his magic wins the day, I'll be disappointed and surprised, but not shocked. Disappointed and surprised. So I, too, will take the Eagles definitely to cover and probably in that 10-point range, whether it's like they're up by 14 and the touchdown scored at the end and then the onside kick isn't recovered. It's only 7 or something like that, where it's going to be like, it's not that. They had the game wrapped up. I think their defense is that spectacular. And the big difference that Mahomes hasn't faced in the Super Bowl, it's a team that has the offense that can go toe-to-toe like we saw 2 years ago against Allen and the Bills.
So basically at this point, unless we hear from Yersha and Demos has something different to say, I will be all alone in my prediction on this one.
I will say that Sammy can't stand the Eagles. So
okay, all right.
So you might have
Yersha's probably the same boat because he's a Giants fan. So
right. So you might
naive fools in my corner here.
Yeah.
Or they could go Micah Parsons.
So
yeah, which is good stuff.
But if it really, the reality is when it comes down to it, we might have a really, really good matchup here. I think it's going to be memorable in a lot of ways. And of course, like many things that we also deal with, it also has the ability to be bet upon. So we are going to share this right here. I'm going to basically expand this out like so, I think. Like that's a. So, like anything that we have, typically there's bettability is a big part of this. This comes from OaklandCountyMoms.com. Some of the weird bets that we've got coming up this year. National anthem is a regular one. Over 2 minutes, 5 seconds under. So,
do we know who's singing the anthem this year?
It's going to be Chris Stapleton. I don't know who that is, though.
I don't know who that is. I know Rihanna's doing halftime.
Country. I have a feeling with that one, he would tend to be more on the traditional side of singing the anthem, being kind of how much the America is kind of tied into, or at least so I think it'll be under 2.5 seconds.
Okay.
I think Stapleton prides himself on his ability to play the guitar, and anyone who prides themselves on their ability to play the guitar tries to be Hendrix when the national anthem comes. So I think, depending upon how much singing he does and what he wants to do with his playing, he could push it. But I would also go under. I just want to be, there.
Yeah, but he's probably coming out there with an acoustic guitar, no die cut, so nothing. He's not going to be able to get out there and do Hendrix stuff. So the gut instinct is to say over every single year, just because I would say these artists kind of want to milk their time on screen because they're not the halftime show. So I think they want to give themselves a little as much time as they can get. But I don't know. I think this year I'm going to go under. I'm going to go under 2.5.
I would go over. I mean, remember? I don't know if you remember. There's a bunch of years ago, Harry Connick Jr. I'm dating myself here, where he actually did it, and that thing lasted like 5 minutes. It was the longest one I think they ever had in Super Bowl history, and it dragged immediately right out of the gate. But yeah, that one's normal. Color the liquid, basically poured on the winning team's head coach. That's a normal one there. Purple, indigo, or violet is actually kind of a rare shot. Andy Reid.
Yeah, the Gatorade one is always a fun one.
Oh, yeah, they're going to. I'm only getting 730. I'm not getting the full 1,000 on my app.
I'm gonna say blue.
All right, I'll go orange because it's usually Andy Reid special. Okay. Will Andy Reid wear a Hawaiian shirt during the Super Bowl? I'm gonna say no to this, but it's the fact that it's even a thing.
What do you mean during the game?
I guess underneath, yeah.
Please, cheeseburger before the end of the Super Bowl.
I know we haven't gotten to that one yet. I don't even know how that's a thing.
I'm gonna say no.
Most NFL coaches look like homeless people anymore. So,
will he eat a cheeseburger before the end of the Super Bowl? But remember, it's got to be caught on camera too.
He will not be eating a cheeseburger before the end of the Super Bowl.
That's what I'm thinking.
Is there a sponsorship tie-in for him to do that? Like, is Burger King sponsoring it, so he has to eat a burger on camera? Like,
he might eat a burger during his interview, post game, but during the game, and that level of disrespect to start chowing down, like they did in the college football playoff game, is not in Andy Reid's B. That's going to be my answer there. But yeah.
First off, I think all this cheeseburger nonsense, I think is all depending on if they win or not. Because if they lose, there is no talk or anything of cheeseburgers, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But if they win, and if they win, then I mean the cheeseburger possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
And the ham sandwich. He's a ham sandwich kind of guy, though, if I recall his quotes properly.
I think cheeseburger talk is really, really dependent on a win or not.
All right. Let's see. Celebrity special. Who do we see at the Super Bowl?
Kevin Hart.
I was going to say, Kevin Hart's all over the place right now.
Yeah, let's see. Who do we got?
Bradley Cooper, Philly.
The Philly standards.
Yeah, Mike Trout's going to show
and
up.
Matt Damon for some reason.
Yeah. Pink is such a random choice, though.
No, she's from Philly.
Is she?
Okay. Yeah. I saw her do a show here.
Hey, what about Paul Rudd? What about Paul Rudd? No Paul Rudd on this list?
Dude, Paul Rudd
should be on this list.
And he's got the new Ant-Man movie coming out too.
How is Paul Rudd not on this list? That's absurd. Paul Rudd should be the absolute front runner for this list, considering timing of Ant-Man, please, and his team.
Maybe that's why he's not on the list. Maybe he's already.
Is Kim Kardashian dating somebody playing in the Super Bowl? Why is she on this list?
Well, this goes to Wise Kim there. This goes to the question that we never covered about moving the championship games also to neutral sites, and that these games just are people. There are famous people there just to be seen. It's the tickets are outrageous. The stadium doesn't have the same vibe as a regular football game, so it doesn't even have the proper Super Bowl vibe. So yeah, Kim Kardashian might be there just to be there. It's in Vegas, right? I mean, who's not going to be in Vegas?
It's in Arizona.
Arizona.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Pro Bowl's in Vegas.
Kind of an odd location. I mean, I get it, but yeah, it doesn't really have the appeal or the energy that a lot of other places would have.
Yeah. So unless you're a fan of like Kevin Hart, Kevin Hart's minus 250. I think they're giving away money there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mechaleni could show up too. Because there's another match.
Is Pink from Philly? Did somebody say? Is that why she's on the list? Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Let's see.
She's from I think more of the mainline area, whatever that actually. I don't think she. Yeah, she's city folk.
But
God and Jesus.
Always, yes.
Always.
Yeah. I don't know. I would say teammates. I'm gonna go teammates.
I'm gonna go thank God for the ability to be kind of that route first, and then they'll start rifling off teammates and coach and owner and all this. Yeah, no, God.
I'm trying to think who could win it that wouldn't say God based on what I know about them. I mean, I guess if Travis wins, he might thank his teammates first. If Travis Kelce wins, that's the it's like. Can I get if then here? If Travis Kelce wins, I might say he might thank his teammates before God and Jesus. But Mahomes and Hurts are both going to say God and Jesus. I've seen them thank those guys. Those guys do that many a time.
Yeah. And Pink is from Doylestown, apparently.
Okay. There you go.
Well, fan right out on the field. Again, you have to be able to see it, though.
No.
What team apparel will Drake wear?
Yeah, I know, right? So, Kelce thanks his brother, whichever Kelce it is. So.
Well, that's what I was thinking, Kyle. I mean, yeah,
or his mom.
Or his mom, who I personally have signed the petition, which I know is not going to work on change.org, to get the Kelce mom to do the coin flip and make it the official Kelce Bowl.
That would have been interesting.
How many times is one of these bets over under of how many times they will show Mama Kelce on screen during the game?
No, unfortunately on this list there isn't, but there should be.
Is it? There's still what side is she? So I listened to their podcast, the Kelce Brothers New Heights podcast. Here I am checking for somebody else. Good job, me. But they were debating whose side mom would sit on. Who would give her the tickets because the one brother has a family and all the family's going to be there. So Travis is like, yeah, I should probably sit with you. I'll have a bunch of friends on my side.
Yeah. That one was one.
Or will she sit with the Kansas City group for one half and then the Eagles group for the other half? I can see something like that.
Yeah.
Or is it going to be one of those cases like back in 2003 when the Devils played the Anaheim Ducks? You had Rob Niedermeyer on one side, Scott Niedermeyer on the other. The mom very bluntly rooted for the one son who never actually won a Stanley Cup before, and rooted against Scott Niedermeyer and the Devils.
Well, in this case,
both of them have Super Bowls already.
Have Super Bowls, yeah.
Are they even though? Is the question?
Yeah.
They each have one.
Yeah,
each have one.
Okay. So,
with Travis having this being his third, having an.
By the way,
appearance.
Kyle, the over/under on this one officially is 1.5. How many times they mentioned Brady? There's no way it's going to be under 2. I don't think.
That's way too low. I think
it's way too low. Yeah,
at least 3.
I saw that on another website. So.
They shouldn't even be allowed to say his goddamn name.
They will. Yeah. Well, also they had that movie 80 for Brady too. So.
I'm sure that's second. I'm sure that's.
Dude, that movie is getting crushed in the reviews. I was very surprised by that.
Predominant color of Rihanna's outfit, see-through.
Color, not.
Sequin, shiny.
All right, that's
Shit.
okay. So we know. So the point being that you're not even going with the in-game ones. Like, will somebody score an octopus?
Yeah, no. These are the weird bets.
Uh,
You know, color of Rihanna's hair.
There's a few of different
Okay.
ads.
All right, we've scrolled past like 3 different first advertisements, and they're
Mhm.
all like different ones. Why couldn't we have just had one first TV advertisement and just rifled off a bunch of categories?
Isn't
don't
it
know.
Budweiser every year usually, or like more
Like
often than
like
not?
right there. What's the difference between? Just put them all on one list.
no,
Brady
one is
references.
who's first overall. The other one is will Doritos be before M&Ms? Will Heineken be before Budweiser?
Well, M&M's has got Maya
Oh, they
Rudolph
just
now, too.
okay. All right, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, between the two. So, but that Maya Rudolph campaign, which is apparently getting lambasted, also.
The Mets are supposed to have some type of campaign.
Heineken versus Budweiser's. Budweiser.
Yeah, I did see some of this. Steve Cohen dropped some money for an ad. I'm curious to see what they
Because
do, what the Mets do, what he and the Mets do with that.
Because as Steve Cohen said, I'm spending a lot of money and they're complaining about it. That sounds like a you problem.
He's right.
He is right.
458 million, I believe.
Like straight up no, but like the fact that there is an owner that will pay for Super Bowl commercial advertisement, a baseball owner, while other baseball owners won't even pay for players for their team.
Yeah,
is actually criminal. But that's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother show.
there's your answer, Brandon.
Are you personally
he goes
trying
the Tebow
personally
route.
attacking me and Brandon here? Jeez.
He goes the Tebow route.
Deion Sanders has got nothing on this.
Deion Sanders could play baseball and had speed. What is Brady? Is he going to pitch?
Hey, he was drafted by the Expos, man.
Yes. 20
He's
years
apparently
ago.
a better baseball player in high school than he was a football player.
It's kind of scary when you think about it. So, or will he end up being another Drew Henson?
I mean, Drew Henson was the reason why he was drafted in the 6th. He fell to the 6th round in the first place.
Yeah, they really tried to get him going, too. Never did.
Wait, right there. How many times will Kelsey brothers be mentioned? Over 1.5
per quarter. This is more like
there is no other surefire 1,000,000% guaranteed
Really,
than over 1.5 times.
It'll be mentioned every quarter.
It'll be one.
Yeah, like one and a half times per quarter. I could see, not for the whole game.
Yeah.
It'll be mentioned every time they switch off the field. Every time one comes off, the other one comes on. Oh, there we go, another Kelsey. How many times will you say, "Oh, there will be a Kelsey on the field near visual at all times,"
and they'll be panning over to Mama Kelsey each time.
Yeah,
to see her reactions every time one of them does something.
Well, because Travis is going to touch the ball targeted 10 times, even if he's covered well, and then Jason. Well, I don't know. Have we not talked about who the 2 best defensive players on Kansas City are? And will they be lining up over Jason or Lane Johnson? I mean, every time that Frank Clark rushes and it's going to be talked about. Every time Chris Jones rushes from the inside, they're going to see Jason Kelsey there and they're going to make a comment. So yeah, these are 2 guys who are going to be unavoidable in the game. I mean, it'd be easier if it was like a left guard and if they were both like left guards, but the center who's going to be calling out the protections and the most important offensive player, not as a quarterback on Kansas City. It's ridiculous how many times it's going to be discussed.
Plus, they both have such personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Too. It's not like they're just, they just keep, head down. They're just guys playing football. Just happen to be brothers. No, they're 2 of the most, personable guys that this league has, regardless of position.
If the Eagles win this, I'm pretty sure that they're going to be building a statue of Kelsey in the Mummers outfit next to the one of Peterson and Foles outside the stadium.
they might build that even if they don't win. I mean, Jason Kelsey is beloved, right? I mean, but yeah, you get 2 Super Bowls, and it's right. It's only it's Kelsey, Fox, and Graham. I think those are the only 3 remaining guys.
Mm-hmm.
So those, and that's in 6 years. So those guys are going to really, party.
And Jackson Mahomes at least 3.
So, all right, what else do we got here? National anthem. Who gets shown first?
Ooh. That's a
Number of hot dogs sold.
Yeah, I know. I love that one.
Honestly, that's a real pick 'em. That's really such a either or.
Mm.
I'm going to go under because of the factor that you said before about the celebrities there just wanting to be there, and many of them are eating food more expensive than hot dogs.
I think 17,000 hot dogs. Just seems like a lot, but
Yeah. I'm thinking Invincible for the clip.
60,000
that's
person. Well, do they count it as sold if I order 50 for my box?
Yes, probably.
Is that even public information? How do you bet on that?
I don't know. Maybe they have it after the game. I don't know. I don't even like hot dogs anyway. I really hate them. This one.
Will Tom Cruise parachute into the stadium and deliver the game?
If you notice, it's not a hardcore no there either.
Negative 15,000. That's a hardcore no.
I've never seen
Not compared to that
negative 15,000 before.
That's like 1 out of 6, 7, I think.
Will the power go out?
I guess Tom Cruise did that before as well?
Would it surprise you if he did?
No.
I know Lady Gaga parachuted into the stadium during a halftime show one year.
She jumped down on wires, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she jumped off the roof.
But anyway, weird Super Bowl bets for you. Any final thoughts?
Not on weird Super Bowl bets. One of those crazy bets with crazy odds will hit, and you'll be like, "Oh, you should have bet on it." But
yeah, just like the safety as a first score.
Oh yeah,
what was the payout on that in that Broncos Seahawks?
That was the Seahawk Colts game.
Yep. Yeah.
So, all right, moving on at this point. This is going to be a topic mainly for the 3 of you gentlemen. Kyrie goes to the Mavs.
My good friend.
Yeah. At least he's no longer Brooklyn's problem anymore. But on the plus side, Brooklyn actually looks really good on this deal because a lot of pundits out there, and I think you guys may agree, are looking at this and saying this is kind of a risky maneuver by Dallas here. Who wants to roll with it first?
Well, so like Kyrie Irving, he's like the genie of the NBA. Phenomenal basketball power, itty bitty playing time. I mean, he's a problem. The other hand is, if you're the Mavs, you're giving away a first-round pick. Now, last year I looked at first-round picks, and I don't have the names here now. I can try to bring it up on my computer, see if it freezes. But only 6 guys picked in the top 10 won a championship for the team they were drafted on. So I don't think the first rounder matters if you're the Mavs. Like that first rounders leave their teams and win somewhere else. By the way, 2 of those guys were Steph and Thompson, so they were on the same team. So I don't think the Mavs gave up a lot to risk pairing Luka with somebody and seeing if they can make a run. On the flip side, I think the Nets actually got some decent guys to kind of see if they can pair with Durant and the pick who might pan out. Like I said, I don't have a lot of faith in first-round picks in the NBA. I think it's just like when the Nets traded last year for Simmons. It's an all right trade. I think it's a fair trade. It is. I can't wait to see Luka get to play with somebody else, even if it's Kyrie and he only plays half the games. But let's see what Luka can do with another person, whoever that person is, and really understand what Luka's game is like. That's what I'm excited for.
And also, if there's anybody who can actually get through to Planet Kyrie, it would be somebody else who was a diva point guard themselves, Jason Kidd, the Mavericks coach.
Maybe.
From the Nets standpoint, this is addition by subtraction, clearly. They liked Dinwiddie when he was here, when he was with the Nets the first time around. And also he comes at a much lower salary point than the other players and other offers that were mentioned in the trade and other trade offers that leaked, like Russell Westbrook and two picks, I think was the Lakers offer. Then the Suns had Chris Paul, somebody else, and a pick. But Chris Paul, while he may have been a better player on the court this year, I think he has another 2 years on his deal. So the Nets probably didn't want to make that commitment. So this leaves salary flexibility. The salary flexibility in the picks in exchange for getting rid of a giant problem. It is a win for the Nets. And the Mavericks are just desperate because they've tried several different point guards to pair with Doncic, and none of them have worked.
Does the 2029 draft pick surprise you?
All that means is that they've traded the ones every other year until then. That's the first one that they have available, because the NBA has a rule where you can't, because it's called the Stepien rule in honor of the Cleveland Cavaliers owner in the early 80s who traded all of his picks almost every year. So they made a rule that says you can only trade your first round pick every other year. So if they're going out to 2029, that means they've already traded several picks away before then. So it really doesn't make a difference as far as, like the Knicks were something like 10 years backed up on picks for a while because they take their pick and throw it in the Hudson every year.
So, okay. From the Mavericks standpoint, it was surprising. I didn't see them trying to shop in the Kyrie market at all. And when I saw this news, I'm thinking to myself, if I'm Luka Doncic and I read this, do you think his first instinct is happy? Is like he's giddy? I can't see that because you look at a guy, Luka Doncic, an international player. The international players, guys like Giannis, and we've seen them throughout history, especially now, the two big internet, Luka, Giannis, they are not from this American basketball system. They didn't come up on this AAU circuit where fifth graders are playing in their local, middle school gym with World Star and Scouts. It's just no. They were playing they were just playing basketball, and so the way Luka is made up and the way Kyrie is made up, I've never seen a duo that is so polar opposite. Now we haven't seen them on the court yet, and we'll see how that plays out. Obviously, individually talented, they're both phenomenal. We'll see how they are as a duo on the court. But if I can't see Luka being really thrilled about this. And like I said, I'm surprised that the Mavericks did this because they gave up solid pieces that were important to the Mavericks Western Conference run last year that they could have used to continue to build upon. We know they let Jalen Brunson walk to the Knicks, which Kyle said, and I also agree. I think that was a mistake. But you're really – would you guys be surprised if Kyrie wasn't a Maverick in 5 months?
No, I fully expect that this is not going to work for the Mavericks. That Kyrie will leave as a free agent at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think this gives the Mavericks a chance to do, this is what I think is important, is we have Luka. Luka has been a solo act pretty much his entire career. I mean, look what Luka did as a solo act in the Olympics, okay? If we give him a stud, what does he look like on the court? I think that's what this is about. What does Luka look like on the court with a stud? And then do we chase some other stud who we can pair with Luka long term, or does Luka need a bunch of guys like we've been trying to build around with him, a bunch of average guys? And I think that's really what this is about. What does Luka need to get that championship? I mean, I think it's going to be studs. I think that's just the NBA today.
An NBA championship, you need at least 2 studs, usually 3, for any
Yeah.
team that has won a championship. They've
You
tried.
Absolutely.
You need.
They tried Porzingis, that didn't work. Brunson didn't pan out, and when he did, they let him go.
Brunson wasn't and Porzingis was a guy who was supposed to be that guy. Brunson was a guy who looked like, oh, he's showing up as number 2. Would have been a great number 3, but they let him go because he wanted number 2 money. So I mean, I think it's a matter of just showing that Luka can play with somebody so that they can attract somebody else for a 5-year deal. That's my guess. Imagine Luka proves he can play with Kyrie. Anybody's like, oh, I guess Luka can play with me. He played with Kyrie.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the goal here. Luka, play with this guy, be good about it, and then we'll be able to track free agents.
But that goes to my point. As not thrilled as I think Luka is about this, he'll still go out there and be like, all right, he's a Dallas Maverick. Let's, he's one of my 5 or 4 teammates on the court now. We're going. That's my guy. I just don't know if Kyrie is going to kind of have that same mentality, because that's what we've seen for years. Even going the minute he was brought in, drafted, we saw this, and especially after he finally won a ring with LeBron, and he thought that, well, now I can do it all. We saw him go to Boston, wrecking ball, Brooklyn, wrecking ball. There is nothing that, and I'm going to bring up the Nets because they are absolutely not going to not be talked about in this situation. But there is nothing to say that Luka is not going to completely destroy this franchise. I don't think he'll destroy this franchise, because I trust Mark Cuban and the way they run that team. Because the Nets, like I will get to them in a second, completely opposite. So from on the court, they really, their thing is, we got to win now. And because the West is wide open. I mean, yeah, you have Denver and at the top, Memphis. Memphis is having issues, and they're becoming a very unlikable team. We're not going to talk about them. They're not relevant to this conversation. But from the Mavericks, they said, yeah, you know what? We were on the precipice last year in the Western Conference Finals with Kyrie, with Luka and Jalen Brunson. Let's go for it this year. But now to the Nets standpoint, yes, the whole addition by subtraction thing. You brought back Spencer Dinwiddie, who you had years ago, who never should have left. But I from this, I want to make this point. I think it is safe and fair to say that since becoming the Brooklyn Nets, other than the Jets and maybe the Giants, there is no other New York team as horrible as the Brooklyn Nets. I mean,
they're better than the New Jersey Nets were for the majority of the New Jersey Nets lifetime. I mean, you're a little younger, so you kind of remember like the golden days there of the New Jersey Nets. But overall, they're still the Nets. That'd be my opinion. But I think in terms of, I think this is about Dallas though, more about than about the Nets. But let me pose a question to the two of you, and maybe Scott.
Well, because this is what the Nets got. They got Dorian Finney-Smith, Spencer Dinwiddie back, a 7th grader, and 2 9th graders. That's
we
what
didn't
they got.
want
I'm just saying,
dude. We didn't want it.
But do you think that this could be what I'll call a slow 3-team deal? Could the Mavs move Kyrie themselves before this is all said and done? Because I will say, I do like, even more than this is the one place where I could see Westbrook. Like, let Westbrook do his volume thing with Luka. Let Luka dish it out a little bit. So no, we don't see that as a possibility.
No, because then they would have had some 3-team deal proposed.
They were trying to loop in a 3rd team, but that didn't work out, and they ended up going through with this with the deal as constituted with the 2 teams. The more likely result, I think, is that if it blows up as badly as it could, that Doncic says, all right, get me out of here. And he's the next one to demand a trade. As far as the Nets go, I think Durant demands a trade before Simmons does. Simmons is probably just happy to get paid to just milk whatever contract he can get, whatever he can get at this point.
Win now,
get
worry
paid
about
for doing
tomorrow
pretty
when it
much
gets
nothing.
better.
Some other team will be desperate enough to sign Kyrie. I don't think it'll be the Mavericks re-signing him, but some other team will be desperate enough to sign him as a free agent this summer.
Win
I don't
now,
know who that
worry
team
about
is,
tomorrow
but
when you
some
get there.
team
Yep.
will be dumb and desperate enough to do it.
Yeah, that's why I don't think it's going to blow up in the Mavs. I don't think they're going to give him they're not going to give him the long-term deal. So I don't think it's going to blow up. If it goes bad, is it a blow-up? It was an experiment that failed. I don't feel like it's a blow-up. Kyrie walks, they keep Luka, and they try to find some other pieces to put around him. If it works out, great. I just don't see it as blowing up. That's where the Nets, their situation blew up. They're sitting with Durant, who might politely not declare, there's not a lot of time, so I'm not going to demand a trade. And then, I also not going to recover from this injury. Good luck with Simmons and those 2 picks you got from Philadelphia, and then demand a trade in the offseason. I think that's a likely scenario. Or, Durant wants that title that's not tarnished by going to Golden State. So I don't know that if he can come back, he probably does come back and gives it a run and see if he can get by the teams in the East and whatever out there in the West. Although I don't give him a lot of hope because I've seen Simmons in the playoffs as a number 2. And he's already not taking shots. Like, he just won't shoot. Like, he's like me out there. Well, but can play defense and is athletic. But when it comes to shooting,
Simmons is just useless and just trying to milk every dollar of this ridiculous contract, and then he'll probably retire. Like, I think he just genuinely has no interest in playing. He's just going through the motions, trying to get his money.
But
he will contribute nothing of any substance to the Nets or whichever other team that he ultimately gets traded to.
But
Gentlemen, thanks as always.
Wait a second. Time out. If you say it probably won't be me, that means you're not picking the Eagles. You're not picking the Chiefs. You are picking the Eagles. That's what that means.
I'm saying basically my pick is probably not going to be the right one, and you're going to shove it in my face. So,
if the Eagles win, I'm going to give you credit. That's what I was. You said you were probably wrong, which means you're picking with your heart, not with your brain. But you win either way. So
he admits it, though. He admits he's picking with his heart and not his brain.
Right. Actually, it's more out of contempt than anything else. But really, what you pick, you make your picks anyway.
I get it. I did the same for every time the Patriots were in the Super Bowl, so I understand.
Yeah. But all right, gents. Thanks as always. I appreciate it. Take care, and stay awesome.